Welcome to the channel. This is Chris from Off-Road Nation 606. So I need to do a little bit of maintenance to the front axle on the Jeep. I got a couple of little problems, a couple things leaking a little bit. I need to put new U-joints in the axles. So I'm gonna go ahead and take care of that, and I figure I'll make a video because I have to tear most of the axle down to do this. So now this axle in the Jeep is a Dana 60. It's the Kingpin version. It come out of a 91 E350 ambulance, but it should be pretty much the same for most Dana 60s around that year. This is a 91 model. Okay, so first thing is first, I need to remove the brake caliper. And on this style here, it's very simple to do. You got one pin on top, and there's another one at the bottom. You just gotta slide that pin out and the whole caliper comes off. So we need to go ahead and get that out of the way. And you don't want to hang the caliper by the brake line. So you want to either tie it up, or if you got this tool, you can just hang it anywhere on the frame. So hopefully you can see that good on the video. But there is a little pin right there, and you got one at the bottom also. So you just want to take something and kind of just drive that out. As I'm spinning that, you can see that there's a lot of movement in that U-joint, and it looks like all the caps are rusted up pretty good. That's also leaking around the edges, so we know that the inner seals are definitely bad, and we need to replace the U-joint. Okay, so next thing we need to do is we gotta take this locking hub off. So we need to take this cap off first. It's a Phillips head. Next we got 6 Allen head bolts. So we need to remove those. Now these Allen heads, they are 9/64. Okay, so I'm gonna have to get some replacement Allen head bolts for this, because I did have one that was rusted up pretty good, and there was no way to really get it off. Now just be careful whenever you take this off. There is a spring behind this, so you want to hold on to that. Okay, now if you'll look, there's a Phillips screw right here. That's going to hold this little key thing in. It's going to hold this piece right here in, so we need to remove it. Make sure you keep up with that screw. Now you got another set of springs. You need to pull those out. Okay, now if you'll look on the edge, there is a snap ring, and that one there, you can get a small screwdriver or pick to get that out, so you need to remove that. Okay, then after you do that, there's going to be a small snap ring right there in the center. You might need snap ring pliers, but that one usually comes off pretty easy. Now that we got the other snap ring out, now we need to remove the hub, the locking hub. Now the best way to do this, to get a hold of it, is take two of your Allen heads and just thread them in just a little bit. And that's going to allow you to pull that out. Then after you do that, there's going to be a spindle nut in there, and you're going to have to remove it. Hopefully you can see that. Now this one here is the 4-lug, and I had to buy a socket to fit it. It's got four lugs on it. Now the part number for this is W1273. It's from Performance Tool. I'm going to put this on there until it fits in place. Okay, so right there is what it looks like. It's got 4 grooves in it. Okay, after you take that one out, there's going to be a lock nut on there, and that just slides out. Okay, so the lock nut's out. Now there's going to be one more spindle nut, and you're going to use that same socket. Now it will look exactly the same. Okay, now that that's done, you should be able to pull the hub off. Now just keep in mind whenever you're pulling this off, not to pull the wheel bearing out of it. It will usually fall out just like it did. So after that's off, you're going to have 5 nuts you got to take off. Now mine are pretty bad shape, so I've got them sprayed down. Hopefully they'll come off, but if not, that's pretty standard hardware, so it should be easy to replace if have to, but hopefully these will come off. So now what we need to do is going to take a rubber mallet, and we need to slide this piece off. This should come right off there, but looks like mine's been on there for a while, so may take a little bit. Now this will slide right off there. Now I'm going to straighten my wheel back up. I had to turn it, that way I could get the hammer on it pretty good. But I'm going to turn it back straight, and then I'll be able to pull this axle shaft straight out. Alright, now that that's out, I'll go ahead and change the U-joint in it. Okay, so it'll probably be a little bit hard to see on the video, but on the U-joint, there's going to be a little clip on the inside of them, and you're going to have to remove those. And they'll look like that, just a little clip that snaps in place on the inside there. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the old one. Now the best thing to do to get those pins out is to clamp it down in the vise, and you want to take your flathead screwdriver and just put it kind of on the corner, and you should be able to see the old snap ring. Just be careful whenever you take them out, sometimes they can go flying. Now that all the clips are out, I'm going to have to take the hammer and drive that part of the U-joint down. I'm going to have to do that the same with all the caps. To take a socket or something just a little bit smaller than the cap, just something that you can use to drive that out with, and just be careful and not to damage the outer area. Finally got the old U-joint out. That one has definitely been in there for a while. So I went and picked up the new U-joint. And when you get them, it comes with the new clips and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and get that installed on there. But I'm going to wait till I get all of it on there before I put the new clips on there. That way it can still move if it has to. Okay, that's pushed in about as far as I'm going to get it. So now I'm going to put those clips on there. It may be hard to see, but in the corner there's a little groove, and that's where you got to put your clips. So those just snap right on there. Alright, so that U-joint is now done. So I'm probably going to clean this axle shaft up a little bit before I put it back on there. And I may add a little bit of grease to the U-joint. It does have a grease fitting on it. So now I need to take the front cover off and drain the gear oil, and then we get ready to start taking the inner seals out. Alright, now moving on to the front, we need to take this cover off. Now you need to put a pan underneath it to catch all the gear oil. So most of the fluid is now drained. You want to take that top bolt out. Now we can pull this cover off. Now that the cover is off, we need to remove these caps on both sides. So you got 2 bolts each. Now whenever you put these back together, you want to make sure you put them exactly the same way. Now they are labeled. Might be a little bit hard to see in the video, but right up here in the corner it's got A, and over here it's also got A, and they're both sideways. And over here it's also got an A there and one on the side, and they're upside down. But that'll make it easy to match up, but just make sure that you do put those the same exact way. So now we can pry the carrier out. Now you got 2 races on each side. You want to make sure to keep those the same orientation. Now I'm hoping I'm going to have enough room. I may have to drop the steering arm down to be able to get that slide all the way out. But if I have to, it ain't no big deal. Okay, so I got the steering arm out of the way. You may have to take a pry bar and put it down in here and kind of pull back a little bit. Get this started to come out. Got that pulled out. And when you're doing that, it'll just come completely straight out. May have to use a pry bar a couple times. So right in there is the inner seal. You got one on that side, and you got one for the passenger side. So those seals definitely look like they're in rough shape. So I'm gonna go ahead and change those out. Okay, so now we need to remove the inner seal. I think to do the driver's side, I think I'm gonna stick some kind of piece of pipe in there and try to get it to catch on that corner to drive that seal out. So for the passenger side, I just took this fence post and I flattened the end of it a little bit, and I was able to get it to push the seal out. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some rags, I'm going to tie a couple of them to the end of that fence post. I'm going to run it in the axle tube, and hopefully that will clean a lot of the debris out. It does look pretty rough inside the tubes, so I'm going to try to get them cleaned up before I install the new seals. So now we're going to install our inner axle seal. Now I ordered these, and the part number is 36487. It's Spicer brand. And I also picked up this tool to install the seal, make it a whole lot easier. This top part is designed to sit right on the lip of the seal, so it slides over it just like that. But before I go ahead and put it in, I'm going to put some RTV around this edge here just to help keep from any leaks happening. So we want to try to get this as straight as we can. And then we're going to adjust this. Till everything's touched. So hopefully you can see that good. So now I'm going to take the 1 1/8" wrench, and I'm going to start tightening this up. Now you want to keep tightening this until it starts to bottom out, and you'll be able to feel the change in it. Alright, so both seals are now in. So I made sure they all fit in there good. Everything seems to be okay now. Now we can go ahead and put the gears back in. Now after you get the gears kind of lined up, you're going to need to take a mallet and just gently tap it back in place. You don't want to use a regular hammer or anything. You want to use a soft mallet. Now we're going to install the bearing caps. Now just remember, they've got a stamped letter, so that's got a sideways A. That means this side needs to go over here. But just make sure that you have those exactly the same. You're supposed to torque these at 80 foot-pounds. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put all the bolts in and tighten it up. And I'm going to start at about 50 foot-pounds, and I'm going to do a crisscross pattern. And I'm going to work my way up to 60, and 70, then 80. Just that way to make sure everything evens out good. Now we're going to install the axle shafts. So just make sure you put a little bit of grease on the end to help it slide in the new seal good. Okay, now that's in. Now we're going to install our brake caliper bracket. Now these just go on one way. So now we're going to put our spindle on, and I'm going to put a little bit of grease inside that bearing. Trying to get all that packed good. Now we're going to slide this on. And this will be the same way, it only goes one way. On some of the axles you got a big dust shield that you got to put on too. Mine was rusted pretty good, so I decided not to reuse it. I'd rather just go ahead and leave it off to keep mud and stuff from getting stuck in there. So I did buy some new nuts to go on these. The old ones are pretty rough shape. So you're going to torque these to 65 foot-pounds. Now we're going to get ready to put our hub back on. So I'm going to put a bunch of grease around that area. So I'm going to smear it all over that real good. Okay, now we're going to slide the hub back on. Okay, now we need to take our bearing, and I'm going to clean it up and repack it with grease. So to pack a bearing of grease, you want to get a good amount, and you just want to kind of push the bearings into the grease. You'll see it start to come through on the edges, but you want to put a pretty good amount on there. Then after you do that, you can just slide your bearing on in there. And you'll feel it kind of bottom out. So now we need to get the lock nut. First one you're going to need is the one that's got the little bevel in it. That's going to go towards the outside, because your lock washer is going to have to line up with one of them hoses. As you tighten this up, you do want to spin the hub. So after you get it snugged up, it says to go ahead and torque it to 50 foot-pounds, and then we're going to have to back it off 90 degrees. Okay, now that's at 50 foot-pounds. Now we're going to back it off about a quarter of a turn. So after your locking washer's in, going to reinstall the other spindle nut. I've already got it sitting in there. I'll get it threaded up there. And then you're going to torque it also to 50 foot-pounds. Okay, so the hub spins pretty good. So now time to install the locking hubs. So now we're going to install the locking gears. So I put some grease around the edges, just a little light coat. Don't want a whole lot. So now I got to line this up. Okay, just like that. I just put those 2 Allen head bolts in just to be able to hold it easier. So now we're going to put our snap ring back on, the small one. You may have to reach in behind here and pull the axle shaft back a little bit to get it to snap on. Now we got to install the bigger snap ring. Okay, now we're going to take our inner spring. I'm going to put just a little bit of grease on it. Not a whole lot. And that's going to slide right in there. And you'll have to remove that little Phillips, that little set screw. And you can slide your gears back in. And then reinstall that screw. All that does is just help hold it in place. So now I'm moving on to the locking housing. So I'm going to put some grease on the outside edge of that O-ring. I'm also going to apply some on that O-ring and put a little bit on that edge. That will just help keep everything working smooth. Now what we're going to do is we're going to set our spring down in there. Then you got this cut piece. So this cup, it's going to be facing up just like that. Then you got this piece, which is going to sit down in there. May have to work it around a little bit to get it to sit. actually turned it the wrong way. Okay, now that's sitting down in there. Now we want to place either a socket on top of that. We're going to turn it over and we're going to compress the spring. That way we can put our locking cap on there. So now we're going to hold that down. Then we're going to put our cap on. Install the screw. And we'll tighten that down. Okay, after you get it on there, you want to make sure that everything turns good. Make sure all the parts are working like how they should. Make sure you put your cap on the right way. So right now it's in the lock position. It's got an arrow. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and put the cap back on the cover. So if you notice these 3 tabs, they'll have to line up a certain way on there. Now we'll reinstall our Allen bolts. I did have to pick up a couple replacements where I had to drill that one out. Okay, so everything is working properly. Got everything tightened down. So now I'm going to go put the driver's side back together. I ain't going to video any of it because it'll be the exact same way. Now the last thing we got to do on the passenger side is put the brake caliper back on. So I'm going to get that on there and it'll be good to go. Okay, so the last thing we need to do is put the front differential cover back on. So on those you can either put a gasket or put some RTV around that to seal it. The bolts are going to torque to 35 foot-pounds. And I was looking online, I don't know if you can see it. Right there is the pattern that you want to tighten all the bolts. Okay, so you want to put a pretty good amount of RTV around this outer edge. What I do is I run a bead all the way around it and then I kind of smooth it out best I can. So now let's go ahead and install the cover. Alright, the cover is on and tightened down. I just got to put some gear oil in there. But other than that, the front axle is complete. So all the seals are in, the new U-joints. I greased everything, replaced the kingpins. So this axle should be in pretty good shape now. So I just wanted to make this video since the front axle did need a little bit of work. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please consider hitting the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.